It's been a long time since I could say this, but the Toronto Raptors won a game as they opened up their preseason with a 112-99 victory over the Sacramento Kings in the best city in the world. We are back, Noor.
We're back, guys.
The Toronto Raptors, pretty impressive under Darko in that new offense in the preseason. Today we're going to break down what our expectations are for the starting lineup, okay? So let's start off with the starting lineup that was in Vancouver.
It's the preseason game.
The preseason game one,
okay.
Exactly. So that was Jakob Poeltl at center.
Yep.
Pascal Siakam, Scottie Barnes, OG Anunoby, and Dennis Schroder. Noor, assume that is the starting lineup, which I think is a good assumption to make, barring any injury.
I don't know. I mean, we can talk about Gary Trent Jr. coming off the bench in that game and having a team-high 22 points. But do you think, at the same time, though, I see why Dennis Schroder should start, because there's not really a ball handler.
Exactly. And we saw the ball.
You want Scottie to handle the ball.
And we saw the faster pace offense with Dennis Schroder.
Yeah.
Look, we know shooting's not his forte. He's not going to put up 20 points a game like
but
Fred.
We don't need him to do that.
Exactly. They don't need him to do that. He's not going to be Fred VanVleet. He's not going to put up 20 points a game. He's not going to shoot the ball 20-plus times. And Fred had a bad shooting night last night in the preseason opener with the Houston Rockets. But what I saw was it was fast-paced. It was a lot of ball movement. We saw Jakob Poeltl get involved and opening up with his screening and his ball movement. I think the only basket Dennis Schroder made was on an open kick-out from Pascal Siakam. And, of course, Scottie Barnes ran the point a little bit, or they went on a point guard list lineup. So let's start off in the backcourt. OG and Dennis Schroder. What are your expectations for those two this season? What will quantify as a good season for both of them?
For OG, I'd say just being healthy. We need him to stay healthy. We need to see him at his healthiest, because when he's healthy, we know what he's able to contribute. We watched him against the Celtics series in 2021 in the playoffs. The last game shot that he took, when he's confident, he's confident, and he gets that shot in. He makes the right passes. He makes the right plays, and he's a very on point, absolutely suffocating defender. And that's what I expect from him. I expect him to be that guy that we know him to be, which is the best defender on this team, the best one-on-one defender on this team. And as well, if he's able to stay healthy, I think his offense should also come around. And now paired with Darko, who, as we said, he's very good at getting everybody involved, getting the teammates involved. And you have paired that with Dennis Schroder, who's not someone who wants to chuck shots up. He actually wants to move the ball around. He'll do all the little things that it takes to win the game. It might not show his score sheet completely just blossoming, but it's going to show that he's making the little impacts within the game. So all that paired together, I think most of it has to be OG staying healthy. Then it's going to be the trifecta. Yeah,
look, OG played 67 games last year, 48 the year before. Yeah. He's averaged 17 points pretty much back-to-back seasons. We know all NBA defender and stuff like that. But to me, does his contract situation and that looming free agency affect how he wants to be implemented on the offense? Because last year, a lot of the big conversation was he wants more of a bigger role on offense, and he wants to, let's see, can he hit that 20-point per game plateau? That's what I'm intrigued to see. Can he take that next step as an offensive player? Can he become a guy who's averaging 15 to 17 to 18 to 20? Can he make that leap in the NBA? Because that to me is going to deter, and it's going to be a big deterrent on how he gets paid in the offseason. A 20-point per game scorer who's an all-NBA defender has a way higher value than a guy who could put 15 points up, 15, 16 points up and be an all-NBA defender. I think that's my biggest thing with OG.
I see what you're saying, but there was the year when he played, as you said, 67 games. He averaged about 20, 25 points. And the last trade deadline, he was the one who was being courted after every other team. So I don't think it means that he has to take on that offensive load and be that offensive juggernaut. I think as long as he can maintain who he is right now, which is an amazing one-on-one defender, someone who can get on the perimeter, take that three, those little things that he can do, it's still going to be valuable to a team who wants to make a mark, I would say someone like the Grizzlies, even the Mavericks. I think any team out there can use someone like OG. The Clippers, Bulls, anybody out there.
Not the Clippers. Maybe, actually.
No, Clippers could use him. Clippers definitely need a ball handler first, though, but they could use him. But I think, in terms of that, I don't think his value is going to, it's definitely going to flourish if he gets an offensive game as well. Right. But I think that the record has been set to who he is, and teams still want him. There were 4 first-round picks being offered for him.
I think when you look at OG, he's going to be one of the biggest, once again, targets at the trade deadline. Because like you mentioned, every team that's a contender would want him because he could play defense. He could play, on-ball defense on your team's best wing player, right? He could give you something on the offensive side. So he's going to be very, very interesting this season because if the Raptors go down the tubes again and not, in contention for a playoff spot again at the deadline, does Masai finally pull the trigger on a deal and acquire a bunch of assets for him? Because teams are going to be lined up to get him.
Yeah.
Now, as for Dennis Schroder, I agree with everything you had to say. He's just going to be that facilitator, that leader. I just want to make sure that he's a good locker room guy this season. That, to me, is the biggest thing for Dennis Schroder. Now, let's wait. We'll leave Siakam and Barnes at the end because they're obviously the two biggest names on this team. Jakob Poeltl, the center. We saw the impact he had on the Raptors when he was acquired from San Antonio. Again, leave the package out there of the first-round pick and all of that, and the big contract out of that the Raptors gave him. When you look at Jakob Poeltl and his game, Noor, not only on the offensive side and the defense side, being a guy who could clog the paint and be a rim protector, what do you expect for Jakob Poeltl in his first full season with the Raptors at the starting center position?
Very interesting. I think he's going to come through with the pick and rolls as long as Dennis Schroder can figure out a level of I don't know, chemistry with Jakob Poeltl. I think that pairing can be very useful. We saw that last year with Fred VanVleet and Jakob Poeltl. That was probably the best set they ran for offense all last year, and I think that can also be translated again this year, and maybe even more with someone like Dennis Schroder, who is again like he passes first as opposed to shoots first. So I think we can see his points maybe go up a little bit in terms of that because now you're surrounded by people who want to pass the ball to you. And if you're looking at Schroder, the best bet for him or anybody who's passing the ball, the best bet for them is Poeltl was in the paint.
Yeah.
Right? So at any point, if the ball's moving, odds of it finding Poeltl should be pretty much like 50%, right? Like maybe in the perimeter, if not in the paint. And if he has the ball, it's up to him to get that. And depending on the matchup, this is what sucks. Like Poeltl's as great of a center as he is to me, there's definitely better centers out there in the league. And I think that matchup is just what I'm worried about. Like when you put him against bigger bodied men, the Giannis's, the Jokic, the Embiid, like all those guys, that's what I'm worried about. But if you look at someone like Kristaps, like on Boston now, like I think that would be a better pairing.
You think Jakob Poeltl can stop Kristaps?
I don't think it stopped Kristaps, but I think it's more of like I wouldn't be too worried about him driving that in the paint. As opposed to if you have Embiid and Jokic and Giannis in the paint, I'm like, Poeltl, pass the fucking ball. You're not taking it down the paint.
I don't know about that. I think with a guy like Kristaps, where he can stretch the floor so much and pull your big out, that's gonna be a tough matchup for anybody.
But if it's Kristaps versus Poeltl in the paint, then it's not like Poeltl versus Giannis. It's not like Poeltl versus Embiid. It's a different level,
Kristaps is not the biggest, the bulkiest dude in the world, but because he's so big and he's so nimble with his feet. Now again, big question for Boston is this year's if Kristaps Porzingis could stay healthy. Yeah. But that's gonna be an interesting match because there's a gauntlet of centers in the East.
I think center is like a big position now in the NBA.
Now the one thing with Jakob Poeltl is, and I hate to do, is I said don't think about it or whatever, the contract and stuff. But the Raptors gave up and paid a lot to have him.
We can't go back now,
I know,
Justin.
I know. But it's a factor. It's a factor in this.
It's no longer.
Because he's getting paid how much money? $20 million a year?
It's no longer. You can't.
But then you're blinding yourself. You're blinding yourself to the reality.
You're not blinding yourself because what you've done now is accepted the fact that, okay, my front office screwed up royally, gave up a first round pick. He's not saying that. Who's not saying that?
Poeltl, he's happy.
Obviously, he's not saying that, but we know that as fans. Yes. We know that, yes, we got him 2 months before his contract was expiring, gave away a first-round pick to get him here, and we can't talk about it because it gets our blood pressure up and it makes us want to jump.
I can see the steam coming out of your ears right now.
That's why it's done. It's in the past. The summer's over. It's a new season. Close that curtain and talk about something else.
I'm just saying that's a factor. He's got to perform well this year.
Now he's here. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now he's here. He's on the team. His contract. The Raptors did it. They did what they had to do, even though they shouldn't have. They did it, and they paid him. And we can't no longer talk about the contract.
Okay. Now,
sorry guys, all you out there too. No
your
more
blood's gonna keep on boiling right now because now we're gonna talk about Scottie Barnes and Pascal Siakam.
Okay.
So these two guys, in my personal, I'm gonna go first this time because I want to get your opinion on this. Okay.
So wait, how does that make sense? I'm gonna go first because you want my opinion.
No, I want your opinion on what I'm about to say. Okay, that's what I meant.
I
okay,
it's gonna be a World War III.
If the Toronto Raptors want to make the playoffs, or even the play-in this year, right? Pascal Siakam needs to be an all-star, and Scottie Barnes needs to be in the all-star conversation. No more 15, 14 points a game. We need to see an increase. This is year 3 for Scottie Barnes. We've seen guys, peak in their rookie year, Michael Carter-Williams, and never really get anywhere else. Scottie Barnes is extremely talented, yes. But can Scottie Barnes take that next level to become a star player in the NBA? The player the Toronto Raptors expect him to be. And Pascal Siakam, you are now the leader of this team. Wholeheartedly, this is your team now. Fred VanVleet is no longer here. Can you lead a team to be successful? Can you be that locker room presence? Can you put aside your differences with Masai Ujiri and your whole contract situation and lead this team and buy in to Darko's new system? Can you do that? Those are my questions to you. Those are my questions to Raptors fans out there about those two players.
Wow, what a
soliloquy?
Shakespearean. Yeah, completely. See, I think you're wrong because Pascal
Surprise. You think I'm wrong.
Because Pascal Siakam is not going to play for his team. He's going to play
So he's going to be
himself.
selfish this year.
It's not about being Justin. When have you seen Pascal Siakam be selfish? He's not going to play for the team in terms of he's not going to play for the front house. Sorry, the front office that kind of called him out on media day, who's been kind of leading him along the whole way through, who's kind of left their superstar out to dry. So in my head, I don't think he's someone who will play this season thinking about, oh, how do I make this team win? How do I create an atmosphere where next year is great for me? Because it could be. I'm not sure what convos have been having behind the doors, but based off of what we know that's happened so far, it hasn't been great. There's a lot of friction, a lot of tension, a lot of just there's not a lot of camaraderie. The atmosphere that we know the Raptors to have hasn't been there, and that could definitely impact how he feels about playing with this team this season. He might not. I don't know.
If what you're saying happens, then this season's gonna go off the rails real quickly. Because if you're
it already has.
They just won their first preseason game.
I mean, well, last year already did.
Yeah, last year went off the rails. I'm saying this is like you said, this is a new year, new season, new vibes, new beginnings. But if Pascal Siakam does that and doesn't play, isn't fully bought into the whole organizational thing, this is going to be a big problem. Because like you said, if he plays, again, he's going to play hard for his teammates and all that, but if he's not buys into the coach's system.
It's about buys, yeah.
If he's not fully bought in, that's going to be a big problem.
Buying into the coach's system too. I don't think the problem with him will be about the teammates or the coaches. It's going to be about the front office. It's going to be about Bobby, about Masai, about those things. So I struggle to see a world where he's not going to be selfless. He's still going to be Pascal Siakam. He's not going to be selfish with the ball. He's not going to think oh, I need to get my 30 points tonight. Screw the rest of you. I don't care if we win or lose. I don't think it's going to be that. But I've seen the years prior, especially last season, where whatever's happening behind the scenes impacts him on the court, right? So that's what I'm looking at. But now, by the way, not last year still, though, he had one of his best seasons. Maybe the best season of all, actually, in terms of his numbers. Yes, he did.
I thought that the 2019-2020 season was his best year.
Okay, statistically, how far he's come, it was last year. Each year, he improves, and last year, statistically, he had the best year, right? Now, the team obviously did not put up the same numbers, close to it whatsoever, but he did have the best year. But regardless, the team just did not do well. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't even know what I think Pascal, I don't know. I know what he's capable of. I know what he can do, but I just think that whole the factor of having the front office kind of be kind of shady towards you.
And you know it's gonna be a topic of conversation this whole season. If they go on a 3-game losing streak and Pascal struggles, then the questions are become, okay, are you happy here? Do you want to be here?
The worst part
are you bought in?
We're going into the season. Season starting in less than 2 weeks. Yeah. We're going into this and we haven't
15 days. 15 days?
October 24th is the first game and starts in less than 2 weeks.
13 days.
Do you really want to math me?
I've beaten you in math in this show before, but continue. Okay, well, let's move to Scottie Barnes then. So we talked a whole lot about Siakam. Now, again, I think because Siakam is such a big topic
of Siakam. Huh? I don't remember what I said. I just
you were basically saying that.
Okay, continue about Scottie Barnes.
Okay,
now.
look, but this is the problem with Siakam. He's such a big club topic of conversation. Sometimes I think Scottie Barnes gets away with sliding behind the shot. Hold on, let me finish.
But that's the front office's fault. They created that narrative around. Like, if they had that convo with Pascal, everything would be settled. Communication would be clear. People would know their roles. They would know what to expect. Nothing has been communicated, and that's why someone like Scottie Barnes, who won Rookie of the Year, again, I disagree with you about Scottie Barnes as well, because I think he needs to come through. I think we need to see the best of Scottie Barnes now, absolutely. But if you're looking at last season, that wasn't just Scottie Barnes' fault. That was the team failing Scottie Barnes.
Nobody's blaming Scottie Barnes for
what happened. People keep saying, like, oh, he had an amazing first year, Rookie of the Year. The second year he dropped off. Of course he did. He's still, 21, 22. He's entering a season where everything's up in the air. There's 4 guys who are on expiring contracts. Everyone's playing selfishly. Teams, coaches, front office, no one's getting along, and now we know so much more. So I think we owe it to Scottie to cut him some slack about not being able to be the loudest guy in the locker room with 4 people have expiring
I'm not saying
contracts.
Be the loudest guy and be a locker room leader. I'm saying on the court. On the court, it's time to take that next step.
How can he do that? Okay, loudest guy on the court. How can you do that when you got 4 guys who want the ball, who want to chuck the shots up, want to do whatever it takes, and the ball obviously was not moving. It was staying stagnant in one person's hands. So it's not on Scottie. We're learning so much more about what went wrong last season, especially now, and that honestly, it just tells me more that yes, we want more from Scottie. I want more from it. I think this year will be great for him. Like, look at the preseason game. He had the second highest points on the team, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, I can see him having a great season this year. But it's just, we can't already knock him out to be like, well, if you don't give me one good game, you're not Scottie Barnes, you suck.
It's an 82-game season, but what I'm saying is this year, we need to see him take a next step up, level up.
But it's the way people, like, phrase it. Like, it's as if, oh, my God, he disappointed last season. Yes, he did, but the team sucked.
Yeah.
The team was awful.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying is that, okay, it's year 3 now, the sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it, put it behind you. This year, show me that you can be that guy. Show
Justin Pooni, guys.
I'm sure all the Raptor fans out there too wanted them to Scottie Barnes to show them that he can be that guy, that franchise cornerstone, the guy that can lead this franchise into the next 5 to 10 years.
You can't do that. Is Cade Cunningham doing that? Is Paolo Banchero doing that?
Paolo Banchero, absolutely. Did you see what he did? He did last year?
Justin, I know what he did, but is he leading his team to something?
Who knows? Orlando's got a good young team this year.
Oh my God! So how do you say that about Orlando?
Orlando's got a good young team this year.
But you can't give Scottie Barnes, who's on a team who had 3 other players, 4 other players ahead of him who called the shots. Paolo Banchero had his own team. Cade Cunningham has his own team. It's a whole different ball game. You gave Scottie Barnes a team where other people call the shots, where those 2 guys literally have their own teams to run. So yes, they have the expectation to come out on top. They've got the ball. They can chuck those shots up because the offense flows through them. Scottie does not have that luxury.
That's what I'm saying. Show me this year, Darko. Show me this year. Give Scottie more leash. Show us what Scottie Barnes can do.
All right.
Let Scottie cook. That should be the monitor.
Hasn't even started yet, and I'm already yelling.
By the way, can I just have like a minute to have for the camera right now for 1 second? Not even a minute, like 30 seconds. I just want to say this. Adam Silver, if you were watching that game on Sunday in Vancouver and you saw how electric that crowd was, it's time for you to pick up the phone and realize that if basketball is a global game, why not have a second team in Canada? Why not have a second team in Canada in the best city in the world? The building was rocking. The crowd was filled. They appreciated there. The support was there. Sold out all the time. Basketball in the NBA deserves to be back in Vancouver. And that's all I want to say. You have anything to say about that?
Bring a team to Brampton.
What?
Bring a basketball team to Brampton. We'll call them the...
First of all, that's inferior. First of all, MLSC would not be happy about that. They would never allow that because it's infringing on their territory.
Well, you're within the rounds of downtown Toronto. Anything beyond that is free for all. So
I'm just saying,
bring an NBA team to Brampton, y'all. Watch out for the people. I guarantee we've got a lot of people ready to tune in.
Watch out in the parking lot too for a whole lot of car accidents
getting to downtown Toronto from Brampton is like you're traveling to like a different country. It takes forever.
I've done that travel.
This point,
It's not good. But also,
exactly. So we need a team in Brampton.
Maybe an insurance company should sponsor the new team because of all the car accidents that are going to be in the parking lot trying to get there to Brampton. Brampton drivers are not very good. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, leave us out of this. Though.
Have you seen WhatsApp and Instagram? Not good at all. The drivers.
Just because you follow Six Buzz and Bramley Road exclusively,
are you giving them a shout out right now? You're hating them, but you're giving them pub right now.
Okay, Six Buzz and I don't get along. We got beef.
Okay, fine. Anyway, Adam Silver, do what's right. Bring the NBA back to Vancouver.
Brampton.
Nobody wants the NBA team in Brampton, right? Let's go. You could bet your bottom line that the Raptors preseason will continue. October 15th is their next game. They're back in Toronto. And as Noor mentioned, so mathematically, that the season's only 13 days away or whatever. Yeah, I'm fucked up on that. Anyway, Raptor season's around the corner. Preseason's back. We'll be back with more Hoop Talks on Friday.